Deriving the quadratic formula by completing the square. The first step is to set y to 0 so that I can use x to find the x-intercepts. I'm now going to divide each term by a. These a's will cancel out, and now I'm left with a situation that will allow me to complete the square. I'm going to put c over a on the right-hand side where it becomes negative. To complete the square, I take half of the second term, square it, and then add it. So b over a becomes b over 2a. I'm going to square it. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. So I'm going to add b over 2a squared to both sides. I can now factor my perfect square trinomial that I just created by completing the square. So it's x plus b over 2a, all squared. And I'm going to tidy up the fraction on the right-hand side. The first thing I'll do is expand my b over 2a all squared. And then I'll go further and combine my two fractions. The right-hand side remains the same at this point. And this becomes a b squared minus 4a squared c all over 4a cubed. You can see I've got a's in each of my terms, so this a can cancel out, and that becomes squared. Okay, so again, tidying up the right-hand side. And now we're starting to look like the quadratic formula. The next step is to square root both sides. And one of these roots has to be positive or negative. So square rooting the left, I'm going to get x plus b over 2a equals plus or minus, and I'm going to separate out my fraction. Okay, I'm almost there. So now I'm going to put b over 2a on the right-hand side, plus or minus. I can't reduce the top of my fraction, so I'll leave it alone. And the bottom of my fraction, the square root of 4a squared, is 2a. The last step would be to combine the quadratic under one fraction. So there you have it, from standard form to the quadratic formula by completing the square. I wanted to comment on the secrets of the quadratic formula. When you separate it out like this, you have two pieces. The first piece is the axis of symmetry, negative b over 2a. The second piece is the distance the roots are from the axis of symmetry, the plus distance and the minus distance. And when you're looking at the quadratic formula, you're going to find that the discriminant, which is just the piece underneath the radical sign, will tell you what kind of roots you have. And that's a video for another day. Thanks for listening.